I've got two takeaways from our conversation together. The first one is do diligence, do diligence, do diligence. Underline that every single time. My second one is hashtag listen to Lenka.
Yes. Hi, I'm John.
Hello, I'm Lenka.
And we've been married for
23 years.
23 years, yes. We were the victims of a Ponzi scheme.
So John, Lenka, welcome to Your Money Matters. It's important to say at this stage that John and Lenka's story has been resolved, but they've bravely come to Your Money Matters today to educate us about financial fraud. And boy, do we need educating, with financial fraud now costing the world $5 trillion a year. So once again, I'm really grateful for you both to be here today. Take us back to the beginning of the process. How did this whole story start?
I knew one of the moms from school, and she was saying how her husband's doing really well. So we were introduced by friends.
Yeah, and started socializing with them.
Yeah.
The inevitable financial conversations come up. I found out a good friend of mine had invested in his company, and it felt like
We can trust him.
Yeah, felt
Right?
like a sure thing.
Both of you felt pretty comfortable about this as an investment scheme.
Yeah.
What was it about this opportunity that attracted you away from that safe, regulated environment?
We invested on a 6-monthly basis, and it was basically much like guaranteed circa 10% every 6 months.
Right, 10%, which is
Every 6 months.
double
Yeah.
double a very strong performing investment as well in this current climate.
Yeah.
One of the tactics that salesmen often use in these cases is FOMO, that fear of missing out. You're smiling already. How heavy did that play in your mind?
Yeah, quite a bit.
Quite a bit?
Yeah, I think there's the FOMO side. I think there's possibly a little bit of the get-rich-quick scheme, greed side that kicks in as well. And you see your other friends investing, they seem relatively happy. They're getting a good return on investment, and you think, I'd like a piece of that, please.
Another tactic that we often see from salespeople, particularly when they're, if it's a confidence trick, is the shiny suits, the whole appearance of success. Was that a factor here?
It was, not from beginning. They live in normal location. We were quite happy with that. But after a while, we've noticed they changed the location. They moved in more exclusive area
Right, okay.
with, better car, we're going out more often.
Yeah, I wouldn't say there was the shiny suit. There wasn't that sort of situation, but there certainly was the kind of the lifestyle that sat behind it.
True.
And did that ring alarm bells, or was that okay, maybe they're doing quite well? How do we...
I think we have two different opinions.
Well, let's hear them both.
Yeah. Okay. So for me, it was the alarm.
Okay.
I believe John believed that their business is doing well.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is the reason why we start having a few arguments, discussions about, how we're gonna do that, right?
Yeah, correct.
So the alarm bells had started ringing for you. And John, when did you start beginning to listen to Lenka?
I probably was a lot further down the track, actually, to be fair. For me, it was more, I probably was 6 months from the end before it started becoming a massive worry for me.
Yeah.
Lenka was, to Lenka's credit, was a lot sooner than me.
Yeah.
And my view was,
You were just wanted to retire, I guess.
we've had some money out of it, which is another classic from a Ponzi scheme.
Yep.
Yeah, it gives you the confidence there. I actually think I said that to you. We got the money out. There was a bit of a back and forth and delays and some issues with that.
Okay. See, that's interesting because again, when we talk about some of the classic signs of the Ponzi scheme, they will always pay, certainly in that first payment, to keep you in there. But often it's also very consistent payments, very consistent returns, because any investment scheme, particularly with all the volatility that's in the markets right now, will go up and down. So actually, if you see an investment scheme that's guaranteed, but is also returning a consistent amount all the time, that's actually something to look out for. And then one of the other second signs is, and I'd be interested to hear a little bit more, that when you come to take your money out, that experience is not great. So you had issues that first.
Yeah, we had a bad experience with that. It was part of a process of buying a property. Like the night before, we were doing transfers, and suddenly we're getting phone calls to say there's problems with the money coming out.
And nothing happened, and you
nothing, yeah.
nearly lost.
Yeah, we nearly lost the property. Then we agreed we'd do it over 2 stages.
Okay.
So we got a small bit, and then we got a larger bit, but to get that larger bit took time as well.
So at this stage, Lenka, I'm guessing with you, alarm bells.
Yeah,
ringing,
instinct, just
really
try
loud.
and get money out
Yeah.
and try get out of it. Yeah.
And John,
Not so much.
Not so
No,
much.
I-
Still had that eye fixed on that.
I think when the money came in, that kind of satisfied me to a bit,
Right.
and then I kind of had the long-term view.
One of the things we often say is that, though, and I'm looking at Lenka when we say that there's a primal instinct, and if something if you're not sure about something, always walk away. And that instinct inside of us, that little voice inside our head going, I'm not sure there's something right. We often dial that out, and actually we need to lean into that. So that is one of the things that we should all look out for when we're going into investment opportunities, is that instinct. So look, I'm going to ask you what I hope is not the $64 million question, but how much did you guys actually lose during this process?
Quite a sizable amount of money.
How did you find out about this? I mean, when did this all come crashing down?
We were struggling to get our contract for the last, well, now that we know it's the last term, really struggling to make contact with them and just get a contract out of them. And then his business partner sent me a message to say, we'll speak on a particular day at a particular time, and I'll tell you, I just need to give you a bit of an update.
Right.
And I thought that's all.
A bit of an update.
Yeah, and I thought that's all a little bit suspicious. What's going on? And then he gave me a phone call and to say that his business partner had basically left him high and dry, I think.
So at that point, your life savings and your future, I mean, that must have been an incredibly difficult call to take. And then how did you tell Lenka?
Yeah, I think it's one of those calls you take that, it takes a bit to settle in. Yeah. So I told Lenka in our kitchen that it had all gone bad. There was an element of, like they kind of tell you, An
element of
and I should have
Shock.
I should have listened to Lenka, but I think the initial just shock, embarrassment,
embarrassment,
and then horrendous, a lot of anger.
What's one of the biggest lessons you think you've learned about this then?
We should check probably the prospective we received, because there were some partners written on the forms, and we should probably checked it, which we didn't, to be honest, right?
Yeah, we should have done better due diligence.
Due
We
diligence.
on the
just be
information
really
provided.
friend, trusted, and we just take it for granted instead of checking it properly.
Prior to this experience, would you have considered yourself to be fairly astute in terms of financial security? I mean, we often talk to people about, the email that comes in from the bank. Well, you need to check the URL. Where has it come from? Is it a genuine email? Those calls that we get, which is basically asking for personal details. Banks will never call asking for a CRV number or your personal details. Would you have considered yourself to be fairly astute in that space?
Yeah, I would think so. We would never answer any personal question on the phone, never did, and definitely now we more cautious.
I think we're good in that regard. I think where we got caught out is these sort of Ponzi schemes are very different than the sort of, is that an email from a bank or is it an email from somebody sitting in a basement somewhere? Yeah. So I think that education is good. I just think the education around the Ponzi schemes, and if a scheme is too good to be true, then it's too good to be true.
And when you look back on the experience now, I mean, that whole kind of get rich quick scheme, and we say this time and time again, if something does look too good to be true, then it genuinely is too good to be true. What's this taught you?
It is too good to be
Great
true.
lesson.
Yeah, that it is
It's
too good to be true.
Yeah. It's taught us to, kind of do our due diligence, be better prepared. But what it has driven us back to is secure investments. And the last investment we've done is through the financial institutions.
So you've gone back to the
100%.
banks, that regulated environment.
Yeah.
And I think that's when people start looking at investment, that's probably the first space they need to examine, because there are so many options for them out there.
And I think you said it earlier on, Scott, if you feel it's not right,
Believe your instinct.
Believe your instinct.
Believe your instinct. It's not
I mean,
right.
I think that's a
Yeah.
really important kind of, if we were recap this conversation for the audience, I mean, signs of a Ponzi scheme, offer of high returns far, far, far above market rate with little or no risk, doesn't exist, run a mile. Those overly consistent returns, every investment product goes up and down, often problems with payment, problems with paperwork, and that whole FOMO, that fear of missing out. If someone offers you something and it's FOMO, then take a step away. I've got 2 takeaways from our conversation together. The first one is do diligence, do diligence, do diligence. Underline that every single time. My second one is #listen to Lenka.
Thank you, Scott.
I'm really pleased that you've actually got to a good space. I'm so grateful for you sharing your story today with us on Your Money Matters. I hope it helps other people. It's been a powerful conversation, and thank you again for joining us.
Yeah, pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for having us.